What's happening, everybody? The Poets here. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. Today's project, and it's not just going to be one day, this is project consolidation. So for one, it's like 90 degrees here in Los Angeles over that. And so when you have water cooling PCs, the room heats up because they're really efficient at dissipating heat, basically removing heat from the GPU and the CPU, putting it into the radiator, and then the radiator blowing all that heat into the room. So during the winter time, it's great. You have space heaters basically in your room. In this room, it's a large room, but 3 PCs, one of them being a Threadripper, it's getting kind of toasty in here. So that's one reason for project consolidation. 2, too many computers. 3, I've been using this Lian Li O11 Dynamic Mini Snow Edition. Well, actually, Asus and Lian Li sent this to me back in January 6th. So I've had it for a while now. And it's been awesome doing different types of build projects in there. So shout out to Asus and Lian Li for all of that help and support. But it is time to break this down. So I'm going to be using this in future projects. So this is not going to be the last time you see Snow, the Snow Edition. But what's inside of here is going to be distributed to some of the other PCs. So 3 PCs are going to turn into 3 PCs. Yeah, I'm going to stick a PC inside of another PC. So one build, Deep Blue, is going to have a Threadripper 3970X and an i9 10900K. So this is going to be kind of an interesting project because a lot of things have to happen for this to happen. So first, this has a Ryzen 9 5950X, so a 16-core, 32-thread processor. It's been wonderful, especially with Deep Blue being on the workbench. You know, I'm not using it right now for 4K video editing, but the 5950X does an excellent job at 4K video editing. Plus, it has the 3090 in it as well. So all of that is coming out, and the 5950X is actually going to go in Destro, because that's where the i9 10900K comes in. So the 5950X is excellent for gaming, excellent for video editing. So it's going to be a nice backup to when I have Deep Blue down, because I do almost all of my 4K video editing on that Threadripper. 3970X, so 32 cores, 64 threads, 64 gigs of RAM. Speaking of the RAM that's in Destro right here is by Teamforce. So it's the Delta, it's white, RGB. It's going to be 64 gigs of this RAM inside of Deep Blue. 32 of it right now is courtesy of Team Group. So thank you, Team Group, shout out. That's in Destro right now. So they supported previous projects, and then they sent me 32 more gigs so that I can put 64 in Deep Blue with RGB. First time Deep Blue is going to have RGB, so this is going to be kind of cool. And so that i9 10900K, geez, is going to go as an ITX part of Deep Blue. So you're going to have Deep Blue with a big Threadripper system, and then down below it's going to be the i9 10900K on an ITX motherboard. So this is going to be kind of cool because I'm going to have an Elgato 4K 60 Pro capture card on there. I'm using the i9 10900K because it has an iGPU, which is really cool. So I don't need a GPU, dedicated GPU for that. So as you see, there's a lot of moving parts. So in this video, and maybe more, this is going to be disassembled, well, drained, flushed, drained, disassembled, and then I have to grab Destro over here, drain that, and I have to be very particular with this fluid with Destro because this is unreleased fluid, and I absolutely love this fluid by Thermaltake. Thermaltake, please fully develop this or whatever you need to do with this fluid because I love it. It needs to go to the market, and everybody on TikTok and everybody that has seen it loves this fluid. So I first saw this fluid at like CES 2020. I know Paul's Hardware had been using this for like 13 months, and it's been great. I've been using it for over a month now, flawlessly, so I love the fluid in there. So there's no more of that fluid. I have the last of it from Thermaltake. So I have to carefully drain it and then put it back in after I put the 5950X with this Asus motherboard. So this is a B550A gaming motherboard, and I like the white theme of it. It's going to go in Destro with a whitish theme as well. So this is all going to go kind of hand in hand. So multiple moving parts. So basically I'm going to have 3 PCs down all at the same time in order to rearrange everything. And then, like I said, the O11 Dynamic Mini Snow Edition is going to be stored away for a future project because I have a lot of stuff going on basically happening all at once. I'm also wanting to do a video series on the network that I've kind of been evolving here. So I ended up getting a QNAP 10 gigabit Ethernet switch, which is really, really cool. So it's got 4 10 gigabit ports. I also have a NAS over here by TerraMaster, and this is a 5-bay 10 gigabit Ethernet NAS as well, so I can edit 4K video on it. It's going to have 5 drives in there, 8 terabytes each, so usable 32 terabytes in a RAID 5. I know there's a lot of different RAIDs out there. For my particular use, RAID 5 in this setup is going to be perfect, especially with 10 gigabit Ethernet. It's going to be awesome. So let's get started. I need to bring this over to the workbench, flush it out with 2 gallons of distilled water using this nice little filler thing here. And because this is clear fluid by EK, I'm not going to be really able to tell when it's all done. So I'm just going to be like, all right, 2 gallons, call it a day, disassemble it, and then get to work when everything else can be gotten to work on. So I've rambled a lot. Let's just get to it. All right, so phase 1 of project consolidation is pretty much complete. The O11 Dynamic Mini Snow Edition is honestly a pleasure to build in. This was a lot of fun. I did 4 different builds in this PC case, and I mean, I've had it since like January. It's just been fun. That's all I can really say, fun. It's modular. If you have like a smaller motherboard, you can kind of put it in the middle or in the bottom. It fits full ATX motherboards. You can do different things with full ATX and 360 millimeter AIO. You just have to get creative with a few things, but that's kind of the beauty of this case is you can kind of mold it to however you want. I really like that. Great water cooling support by EKWB. They have this reflection distribution plate. It's got a very powerful D5 pump. Absolutely loved it. And you see all these ports here, just like so customizable to build a custom loop. Soft tubing, hard tubing, just however you like it. Overall, I definitely give this like an A for build quality and everything. It's sturdy too. This is not like a flimsy case. The only gripe that I really had was the SFX power supplies. For one, because of human malware, yeah, they were very sparse. Sometimes Micro Center would have like an aisle full of them, and then the next day, like you don't see them for weeks at a time. So I went through a couple of them. The first one was just all they had. It was like 600 watt, was not powerful enough for a 3090 and a 3900 XT, as I got system instability and all that stuff. And I knew that 600 watts wasn't going to cut it, but that's all they had. So I got that, and then eventually they got this back in, a 750 watt Cooler Master model. And so I swapped it out, perfectly fine in terms of managing the power, but this thing is so loud. Like, you move the mouse and the fan turns on, and apparently there's a lot of complaints online about this particular model doing this. So hopefully, I can't reach it, hopefully they get this thing fixed, because I honestly hated it. In a water-cooled PC, this thing was the loudest thing ever. Like, I hated it. So that's one reason why I'm kind of happy that I'm like changing builds and all that stuff, so I don't have to hear that power supply anymore. It's annoying. And I'm rambled on about that enough. So I digress. The RTX 3090 with the water block here and the active backplate by EKWB fit perfectly in this case as well. And you'll see on this Asus B550A gaming motherboard, this motherboard was just a champ. I was overclocking on it, and right now this is an RTX 5950X, so 12 or 16 cores, 32 threads. It's like a baby Threadripper, so extremely powerful, and I like the look of this motherboard as well. So flushing the system is key when it comes to changing components. So like this is now going to go into my other build, Destro, the Thermaltake DistroCase 350p. When you're changing hardware from one water cooling build to another, you want to make sure that these parts are thoroughly flushed and clean, because you don't want, long story short, chemistry. You don't want the chemical compounds like messing with each other and then the loop fails. And as I said, with that Thermaltake fluid that I have there, there's no more, right? So I have no idea if they're going to bring that to market or anything. So I need to make sure that any part I add to that system is entirely clean. So not only are these flushed with 3 gallons of distilled water, and I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this was the first one. It's clear fluid, but you can kind of tell if you look closely that, yeah, this is the most concentrated one with the previous fluid. This one is kind of okay, and then this one is pretty darn crystal clear. So I'm still going to flush these manually and kind of clean them out just to make sure. The cables, since I know people are going to ask about these cables, these were Asiahorse cables. Really like these. They're really kind of solid, and I feel like the quality is just there. Sometimes with cable extensions, when you pick them up, you just know that they're kind of weak. And when you have something like a 3090 and a 5950X, you want some stable cable extensions, especially if you're going to do any type of overclocking. So I'm confident with these Asiahorses that I got, all right? And then overall, I need to say definitely thank you to Arctic, because they supplied the fans for this, the P12s and the Bionix 140s right here. Really nice. The main thing I really like about these is that, you see all this? They're daisy chained, which is cool. So you can have like 3 fans on this thing going to just one port on your motherboard. No hubs needed. That's glorious, because I hate using hubs. I try to avoid them because they take up so much space. And if you can just have these daisy chain and just goes to one port, no hub, I'm sold. And the Bionix do the same thing. Really nice. So the P12s are high static pressure. The Bionix are high airflow, and it was just a pleasure using these. So thank you, Arctic. Thank you, Omen, HP Omen, for the RAM here from the HP Omen 30L. And of course, Asus for all the support for all the motherboards, and Lian Li for the case. So if you guys have any questions for this part 1 of project consolidation, let me know in the comments below. And if you've been following me on TikTok, you kind of know already where all this is heading. So thank you very much. Like and subscribe. This may be like a 10-minute video for you, but this was work for me. So part 2 coming up soon. And follow me on TikTok, Twitter, share this video and all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.